And now, from the ridiculous to the sublime, I'd like to introduce to you a fellow by the name of Bill Wohl. There's a new FM station that's opening at the University of Delaware. It's 91.3 FM WXDR radio station. They're increasing their power wattage from 10 watts to 1,000 watts stereo sometime this fall. You'll be hearing them if you're in that area. And they're going to do what's called alternative programming, from in-depth news and sports to a diverse program of music. Now, although they have what's called a professional management, they're completely staffed, operated and programmed by students, and they're going to be hitting most of Delaware and also Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland. Let's meet him now, Bill Wohl. Hello, Bill. How are you?
Hi, Bob. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Bill, give us a little history, first of all, about WXDR radio station.
Well, WXDR has really run the gamut in the type of radio station. It started out back in the late 60s as a carrier current station, which meant that it could only be heard in university buildings. And then it became, for a short time, an AM commercial station, and finally went to FM in the mid-70s. And that's what we are now. We're 10 watts FM, classified as a non-commercial educational radio station.
I remember when I was a student at the University of Delaware, if you didn't live in the dorms, forget it, you couldn't pick up the radio station.
Yeah, and that's not the case now. Right now we can be heard in most of the Newark area and in parts of Wilmington and parts of Elkton. But hopefully our listening area will broaden somewhat when we go up in power.
Now, you're the student general manager of WXDR.
Right, that's correct.
What is the role that students play in WXDR?
Well, students play every role at WXDR. We manage the station, program the station, provide all the services that the station has to offer. Until July 1st, there won't be any professional salaried staff at all. They'll all be students. We do have some community members who do musical shows and provide some of the volunteer support, but we're completely student-run.
What areas do you serve, and what type of programming do you have?
Well, currently we offer a block programming, which means that we offer different musical formats during the day. We start in the morning with light progressive music, and then we do roots and country until 12 o'clock. And at 12 o'clock we do classical programming until 2, and then progressive music until 10 in the evening, and we offer Delaware's only jazz radio station from 10 until 2 in the morning, and then we have some experimental music. And mixed in, we have public affairs shows, tape programs, and some news and sports.
Now, the areas you serve, or will be serving?
Well, when we go up in power to 1,000 watt stereo, we hope to be able to have a super signal in about a 30-mile radius around the city of Newark, and of course that'll include most of southern Chester County, parts of eastern Maryland, most of the state of Delaware, parts of southeastern Jersey as well.
Now, you mentioned block programming. What is block programming, and why have block programming?
Well, block programming, very simply put, just allows us to do different things at different hours of the day. For instance, classical from 12 to 2 and progressive from 2 to 10 in the evening. It allows us the flexibility to run the gamut in musical tastes, from country to classical, from progressive to experimental, and it gives us the flexibility instead of being like most commercial stations and playing a particular type of music all during the day.
You know what I like about your radio station, being an alternative radio station, we're not stuck with the commercial sound, all one sort of peanut butter and jelly rock sound. You're going to give a little bit of everything for everyone, and I like that.
We try and stay away as much as possible as pointing towards one particular type of audience. We try and please everyone from babies right up to the elderly, and we try and run the format of musical taste so that everyone's satisfied. And I don't think that's a claim that any commercial station in the Wilmington area can make at this time.
Now, you made the decision to upgrade from 10 watts to 1,000 watt stereos. What brought about this decision?
Well, we felt a need in the state of Delaware for an alternative programming source, in that what's available on the radio dial right now is becoming pretty boring, I think, to the general Delaware audience. So we felt the need several years ago to expand our programming service to most of the state of Delaware, and to finally go stereo, because a lot of listeners have complained that the quality of the music and programming is not as good as it could be if the little red light came on in the stereo. So that's the big reason.
Now, who do you think will be listening to WXDR? You mentioned old people and young people.
Hopefully everybody. Back in 1934, 1937, when the original Communications Act and the FCC started, it was deemed that the airwaves are owned by the public, and that's a fact that few people know. So we hope that the public will take advantage of the ownership of the airwaves, and really everybody will give a listen to XDR based on what their tastes are.
And so you feel that WXDR radio station is different because of its alternative programming. Is there any other aspects that makes this different?
Well, I think we're different because the whole job is not to make money. We're not serving the commercial. We don't have any commercials. So I think we're different in the sense that we are commercial free and we are alternative and we're public radio.
Well, if you're commercial free, who's paying the ticket?
Well, the University of Delaware provides substantial support for the radio station at the current time. The student government deals out several $1,000s to us each year. And our listeners, recently we held a radiothon and got money from our listeners, raised $4,500 in 12 days. So we do count on our listeners heavily for support.
Now, you also mentioned, however, that you're professionally managed. Why?
Well, it was deemed by the university when we did go to 1,000 watts later on this year that we should have a professional manager, simply because I can tell you quite honestly that running a 10-watt radio station is a real challenge. We have 150 hardworking student volunteers, and since we'll be broadening our coverage and representing the university to all of these people, it was felt that it would help if we were professionally managed.
What do you think the students themselves get out of WXDR? As a general manager, you probably have a perspective on that.
Well, I think they get a real amount of satisfaction from serving the public, hearing people call them up and make requests on music and seeing us serve the needs of the Delaware community. But also, additionally, they get a lot of on-the-job training in radio, and people that are going out into the field can come to XDR and learn about programming and being on the air and what it means to manage a small business, which is really what we are. So they get a lot of practical experience as well.
Okay, now that's the students. What can the public expect to get out of this new FM station?
Well, I think the public can finally get what it's really been looking for in a radio station, something that provides them not only with the music, different types of music that they want to hear, but hopefully when we go to 1,000 watts, we'll get so deep into news and local sports coverage that will really provide Delaware with the radio service that it needs.
Well, thank you, Bill Wohl. This has been Bill Wohl, the student general manager from WXDR radio station, and I hope you all support his station when they start airing sometime in the